Good evening and welcome to Season 16 of the Invictus Racing League. This is the Tier 2 category of all of the races for this week. And it is brought to you in partnership with gridfinder.com as we head to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And joining me for his first time on comms is Bruce Lee Harding, who's normally my teammate.
Good evening, yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to this. Like you say, it's my debut comms at IRL, so it could be quite interesting to see how this goes, but I'll give it my best shot. What's the worst that can happen? And hopefully, yeah, we'll get a nice, entertaining race from the lads and lasses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Azerbaijan, as we saw yesterday, was a little bit chaotic, but did produce some good racing. So it'll be interesting to see how the Tier 2 drivers get on. Especially considering it was two reserve drivers, effectively, who won last week in China.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely showed the way last week. From watching back last week's stream, it'd be interesting to see how the actual team drivers that are currently down as team drivers respond this week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting. We had a few quick drivers last week who did retire. I think it's best we just quickly go through the standings whilst we're waiting for qualifying to get underway. So in terms of the drivers, obviously, is the race result from last week, bar one person who received a 5-second penalty. Lewis the Beaker took the victory from Ryan LFC. Ivan Belov took third with the fastest lap point. Ruddo was in fourth with Matty Rudd fifth. Ginger Tiger sixth. Trems J seventh. JC Battagal eighth. Scotty got ninth. Ricey Spicy got 10th. Ricey Spicy did take the 5-second penalty last week, dropping him from 8th to 10th. The remainder obviously haven't yet to score, which is 47 Ricky Maru, Kent Kuipers, Keza, Joe Hamster, Russman, Blackside, Simply, Owen, and SFR Martin, and Eric Pancakes, Ads Lucas, Melanade, or as we like to call him, Melanado, and Sunboy did not take part last week. In terms of constructors, however, obviously that is very much different. The McLarens of Ruddo and Matty Rudd, the two brothers, are leading the way on 14 points with Haas on 11. Mercedes have 5 points with Williams on 4. Ferrari 3, Aston Martin 2. And Red Bull have a single point with Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Alfa Romeo yet to score this season. So lots to fight for, even though we're only one round in. And Bruce, what are your thoughts with Azerbaijan tonight in terms of what are you expecting to see from everyone?
I'm expecting there will probably be at least one safety car, I should imagine. To be honest, Azerbaijan now it gives a good chance now for those who didn't score last week or didn't take part last week to maybe get a nice clean race, and that could make a big difference and kickstart their championship.
Yeah, it's I think this is certainly one that if you can just keep clean and keep your nose on your car, it's one you can definitely get a good results with. And it's almost like the strategy doesn't quite matter which way you go, although I think starting on the mediums is probably your safer bet around here.
Yeah, I mean, last week we saw, I think towards the end of China, I'm pretty sure there was a safety car towards the end, and it mixed things up a little bit. And around a circuit like China, for it to mix it up around there, when you get to somewhere like Baku, safety cars are going to play a big part again, potentially. Um, It'll be interesting to see what everyone does, really. But I tend to agree. I think mediums are a safe bet if you're expecting there to be an early safety car. But who knows? They might surprise us. It might be a clean race.
You never know, you never know. I mean, with Azerbaijan, obviously, 6 kilometres long, that massive, massive main straight, DRS, is going to come into play on both DRS zones. But I think we also saw, especially last night, the ERS management was a little critical, especially come the end of the race, if you're looking to defend your position.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, if you burn your ERS out a bit too quick, it does leave you very susceptible down the main straight. So that is critical. We've seen going down the main straight people as far back as 8, 9 tenths behind get a move done by turn one. So yeah, saving that little bit of ERS could be the difference between points and no points, really.
Absolutely. Race lap record round here is a 1:43.009 by Charles Leclerc in 2019 in the Ferrari. I don't think we're going to get that in the race unless they end up on the softs near the end. But it'll be interesting to see how close they can get during the race.
Yeah, I mean, again, the potential for soft tyres. Safety cars could produce that. I think last night in Tier 3, we did see someone at the end of the race switch to soft tyres and did set the fastest lap on them. So, yeah, a lot depends on where you're at in the race, I suppose.
Absolutely. I mean, looking at some of the drivers going tonight, I was told that it was Owen and Scotty were the PC Constructors champions last season. Obviously, before the merger of all consoles and playing types. So, it'd be interesting to see how they go. Obviously, different teams this season for those two. Obviously, one of the people that didn't race last week, Eric Pancakes, is with us. I mean, we've raced against Eric Pancakes. I mean, he was showing good pace at the end of last season.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys obviously here that have come up from Tier 3 from last season. I mean, looking down the list, you've got JC Batagol, who's obviously very, very quick. Got P2 last season in Tier 3. Eric, who really should have been up that end of the spectrum. Also, you've got Melanado, and you've also got both roads. You got Matty Rudd and Ruddo racing under the McLaren umbrella. So yeah, there's some good pace that's come up that's challenging some of the guys from Tier 2 from last season, and yeah, making for some interesting racing. And yeah, I think we'll get another one tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've got all 18 of the expected drivers in the lobby, so hopefully we'll get qualifying to you very, very shortly. As you can imagine, we're just kind of waffling on a little bit, trying to fill you with bits of information whilst we wait for it to go on. Yeah, I mean, looking at this, I mean, I guess the other thing to really talk about whilst they get ready to go qualifying is obviously this cross-play element. You're not just, before it was all about winning effectively on your console. Now you've got others. Also, we've seen a few twitches every now and again in the connections, but generally speaking, it's been quite good.
Yeah, it's not been too bad. You do get the occasional moment and the occasional sort of slight glitch. It's not for me personally not caused a massive issue as of yet. But yeah, fingers crossed it stays stable. The last thing you really want is a race affected by lag and cars suddenly spawning in front of you.
No, absolutely, and the nice thing with this is obviously bigger grids, and hopefully, come in the future, especially on the next generation of the game, hopefully, more leagues available to really further close the gap and the racing between everyone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we get a few people. I think we're quite light on Xbox people at the moment, so it'd be good if we could get a few more from that sort of from that console. But yeah, it's a fantastic league to race in, and yeah, you know, the more people, the better.
So yes, here we go then. We're going to load into qualifying. Going to get ready to finally see some cars on track for this Tier 2 round. And welcome to everyone who has joined us. This is the IRL Tier 2 Azerbaijan Grand Prix in partnership with gridfinder.com. And the question is, who's going to be the first man to take the plunge and go out on track? It looks a little bit cloudy. I don't know if you've seen anything in our Discord chats about any weather predictions, but certainly doesn't look like it's very warm.
Haven't seen anything as of yet. I'll just have a quick look, but yeah, it definitely looks with a bit of potential for a bit of weather. I'm just hearing now from Joe Hamster that it's a dry to wet race apparently, so that could be very interesting.
Yeah, and looks like we're going to have our first person taking the plunge in qualifying, which is going to be Keza, as he comes out onto the track. Softs as you'd expect, really. And he's gone straight on at turn 2, which is a fantastic start to qualifying for Tier 2 and Keza. I think there's an Aston Martin just come out the pits. It is Joe Hamster, and he successfully navigates turn 2 on his outlap. So an easy mistake to make, I think, that from Keza.
Yeah, I mean, after last night, I don't feel I'm in a position to comment on what Trevor just did. But yeah, it's cold tyres coming out the pits. It's the car just doesn't really want to stop for T2. You'll be pretty careful.
It's just going.
Yeah, we've got about half the field out now.
Yeah, I think everyone gradually now, obviously getting their setups on, picking out what tyres. Obviously, it's going to be quite hard because if we're expecting wet weather, do you go safe and have a slightly more wet setup, or do you just go let's go for the dry and try and make up the time in the dry segment? It's a tough one to call when you've got a transitioning race.
Yeah, very much. I guess it depends on exactly when weather's coming. And you know, if you did go for a wet setup, naturally you're going to be a little bit slower than the dry setup. It's whether or not, if the weather comes late enough, that a dry setup could pull enough of a gap. But to be honest, if it's gonna, I think we got another yellow flag somewhere. I'm not sure what for.
Yeah, there's a Williams off at turn 2.
I think there's a couple of cars off at turn 2 there. There's Martin and some boys just doing
both Williams.
A 180 to go around, yeah.
Well, I think simply is a good man to go on board with, I think, for a lap of Azerbaijan. So he's coming down to turn 1, 6 kilometres to go. Gets it nicely tucked in, clips the wall on the exit. That's not ideal. He's already backed out, so we'll find someone else. Ryan XLFC. He's going to come down to turn 1 instead in the Ferrari. Obviously second place last week at China. Hits the brakes at the start of the curb again, nicely tucked in, uses a little bit of curb on the exit. Turn 2, brake just after, no, not far after the 100 metres. Get it again, just a 90-degree bend, get it straightened up on the power. Up towards the first of the DRS zones we have on this track, because some boy has retired. Hit the brakes 100 metres for turn 3. Didn't quite hit the apex. You want to be clipping that inside curb there. Turn 4, don't want to hit the inside curb, but a little bit of understeer for Ryan in the Ferrari, but not too bad. 5 and 6, the entry of 5 crucial for the entry to 6 there. Keep it nice and tight. Open up turn 6 into 7. And just a little cut on 7, then up to the castle section of 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Cut the first bit, get as close as you dare to the walls, keep it tight out of 11 to open up 12, because this, you have whiff and wall on the left hand side, courtesy of last night. 13 and 14 all flat. Turn 15, hit the brakes, awkward downhill and then off camber as you go through the apex. 16, again, you've got to be a little bit careful, slightly downhill braking. You want to get it tucked in and again straightened up, because this now affects your run pretty much all the way down to the start finish line, because you can go flat through 18 and 19, and then in this little kink of 20 into the DRS zone, and as fast as you can possibly go to the start line. And what can Ryan do? Because it's at 40.1. It's a 40.4 for Ryan as well, but 200s down on Keza.
Yeah, remarkably, I think, despite Keza tapping that wall, he's on provisional pole at the moment. So that's a really good effort. He must have sustained very slight damage. It's just for slow cars. Some boy appears, from what I could see, he actually lost it in the braking phase. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but I was parked up before the corner. A little bit of a strange one.
Yeah, Russman goes 7th, the 141.5. Kent is currently on a lap as well. Who else is on a lap? I think Martin possibly on a lap coming down to the end. Yes, he is. He's just in that final sector now. The question is, what can he do? He's a quick driver as SFR Martin. He just needs a little bit of luck here. Retired last time out.
That's a good effort, that. It's a P6.
Certainly not a bad starting point. You can definitely build on that. I mean, you'd have to think a lot of these drivers are just trying to get those banker laps in, just something to fall back on. And then they're going to probably try and test those track limits out as Kent comes up towards the last couple of corners.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you want to get that lap in just to, like you say, to fall back on, just in case you do make a big mistake. In qualifying, we've lost somebody. I just noticed as well now we've lost Ivan as well. So I'm not sure what's happened to him. Didn't see that one. Yeah, it's important to get a banker lap in. But also you don't want to go too careful because you'll still end up down the back end of the grid anyway. So it's that fine balance, really.
Yeah, Ruddo, I think, is going to be the next man to set a lap time. As Martin's, I think, disconnected or lost communication with his car, as Malc would say. So hopefully he can get back in. But yeah, Ruddo, the next person to set a flying lap, and he's got to be hoping for top 5 starting grid here.
Yeah, I think he'd be relatively pleased with that. I think that's pretty much where he was around that sort of region last week. He's got the pace to be near the front. It's a little bit wibbly wobbly there out of that turn there towards the end, leading onto the kinks. But yeah, it looks nice and tidy so far.
Absolutely, and sometimes it might not look spectacular, but being smooth and clean is far quicker, and that is how quick it is. 140.438, and it is tight between the top 3 with less than a tenth separating them.
Yeah, and I expect some of these guys now that will be going out on their second runs will start pushing close to those times at the front as well. So I think it could get incredibly close between quite a few of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whilst everyone's obviously back on their outlaps, do you want to explain why we've got the wall on the inside of just on the exit of turn 12 as whiffing wall?
So whiffing wall, last night Daryl Whiffin from Tier 3 was he was running away with the race really, and unfortunately lost the back end at a fairly steady speed. Clipped the wall incredibly slowly, and the game deemed it was enough to rip a wheel off, it was a bit harsh to be honest because it wasn't a massive hit, but yeah, as we like a little bit of illiteracy, so yeah, Whiffin Wall is now the name of that wall.
Very fine explanation. As Keza now the first person on the second runs, as Martin has rejoined, which is good to see. And there's a yellow flag. I think it's just Ruddo. Make sure he doesn't get in the way of the 2 Aston Martins. So yeah, Keza, he doesn't need to find a lot of time, but sometimes trying to find not a lot of time is actually a lot harder than trying to find a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, we already know that he lost a little bit of time at T1, and that's easily that 300ths there straight away. It'd be more than that, so he's got it in the locker definitely.
A little clip on the wall at turn 10 on the 10-11, just on the inside, but doesn't seem to affect it too much. Just maybe a slight delay on getting on the power as we head through sector 2, and Martin's having more issues at the moment, more technical issues. There's Owen puts in a 140.3.
These times are going to keep coming in. I think this is the beginning of potentially quite a few changes now towards the top end.
Absolutely. So Keza now comes up to the line.
And he's up by enough at the moment. think.
What is it going to be? It's a 40.285. So Keza back into pole position. I think it's going to be Blackside, the next person to cross the line. I believe you were about to say something there.
I'm just keeping an eye on Ryan. Obviously, he was on the podium last week. I believe second place, I think, if I'm right. And he is about a quarter of a second up on his best time at the moment after sector 1. So it's looking like he could also improve to near the front here. Oh, he's just crashed. He's just crashed at the castle. He's clipped the inside wall and it's fired him into the outside wall, and his front right is no longer a part of his car anymore.
Absolutely. Scotty now goes P1, provisional pole. Joe Hamster up to 6th, which is good to see. Obviously, Joe, not normally the most lucky of people.
I think now the worry for Ryan after that now is that he could sort of he could start going sort of backwards down the order, a bit like a slinky down a staircase.
Absolutely. As Owen's
out.
Is that? Has he retired? I think he's retired in the pits. You know.
Has Owen decided he can't go any faster? So that's it. He's done. He's done for the day.
Quite possible, as I think JC Batagal is, I think, in the pits now. Russman. I think JC Batagal may have abandoned that because obviously he still had Ryan in the castle section, as Russman goes 12th quickest. And back side. Ricey Spicy. I mean, gotta give credit to the name on that one. Just coming through turn 16. I believe he's not on a flying lap because he's not using any ERS. So the two, I think this is everyone now coming in on their in laps, if I'm not mistaken now.
Yeah, most of the times that I can see appear to be very much in the pluses at the moment. Yeah, Scotty's in the pits. Joe Hamster's down by quite a lot, so yeah, it appears to be that sort of phase now where everyone's just prepping. Russman seems to be having a little bit of a go here, down in 12th at the moment. Yeah, for the vast majority, it appears to be we're in the phase where they're just preparing for their final runs.
And speaking of final runs, there are people now exiting said pits to start their final set. Just as a bit of a guideline here, I mean, Daryl Whiffen did take pole last night in the Tier 3 with a 1 minute 40.430, which currently would be good enough for 4th. Second on the grid was a 140.5 by JP. Otherwise, you're into the 141.2s, which is very much nearer the back of this grid. But
Alkin, I believe. I think it's Kent. I think Kent's overshot the turn 3 there, but he's just reversed back out and carried on. And Russman's come into the pits, so he obviously wasn't happy with that lap that he was doing.
Yeah, I believe he only had about 10% of battery left, or thereabouts, through the castle section. So maybe just getting a feel for what worn sauce might be in case they're required in the race, maybe. Because obviously
Sorry, George. I think we're looking at JC Bat is about to be first to attack on the final lap here.
Yes. Yeah. As SFR Martin has crashed the car on down towards turn 3, which I'm pretty certain is where Roman Grosjean crashed under safety car. So maybe tyre warm-up gone wrong there for Martin, but as you say, Bruce, JC Batagal, now the first man on the final runs in qualifying. I was expecting a lot more cars to be out by now, or at least leaving the pits.
Once they're out the pits, maybe a minute and 50 and 2 minutes to get around, so there's still time for everyone. It could be, I think the only danger they've got here is if they don't all spread out a bit, there could be quite a lot of traffic towards the end. And trying to get a clean lap might be tricky.
Absolutely. As Basagol is 4/10 to the good so far, which apparently, according to the game, is a purple sector, but as we know, we never really trust the colour sectors. Up towards the castle section we go, of 8 to 12. Flicking all the way through. It's almost like a straight line, that castle section, if you get it right, but if you get it wrong, it is all doom and gloom.
Yeah, it's definitely Russman's the latest to overshoot at turn 2. Yeah, it's definitely one of those sections where you can make up a lot of time with big risk, but I suppose in qualifying it's a risk you can take, but not one that you possibly want to take in the race.
Absolutely. And JC Pascal's 8/10 up on his latest lap as he heads down to the line. So we could be looking at another provisional pole sitter here prior to everyone else completing the laps.
Fantastic effort if he can do it from JC.
Oh. Second it is. So maybe running a little bit extra wing compared to others.
Keza's gone. I think Keza's crashed on the final kink there, coming onto a flying lap, possibly. Let's go on board with
yes, he has.
A minute. Go on board with Kuipers, and
his car's disappeared.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say potentially, because if you clip the inside curb through turn 19, it can unsettle the car a little bit.
Yeah. Ruddo is not improving here. He's completed his lap and he's not, or at least it didn't look like he was going for it, unless he's on a flying lap now. I think he may have aborted his original flying lap, and he's possibly having another go here, I think.
Quite possible, as I think Ginger Tiger now on his lap. Now, it's an interesting thing that we discovered is that...
And Ruddo is in the wall at the castle. It's an identical carbon copy of Ryan. Just go for the inside. And the outside greeted him.
Just trying to push those fine margins in qualifying. And we've got a car... Eric Pancakes has gone straight on at turn 1 on his latest attempt. So that's end of qualifying for him. I do apologise for the scrolling. Unfortunately, my game decided not to allow me the other option to select people. So at the moment, though, Scotty in the Aston Martin, he's up by 1/10 at the moment after Sector 1. So he's looking to strengthen his position here for provisional pole. And I've also seen Owen said he probably could have gotten a 1:39. Obviously, we probably will never know now after his retirement.
Kuiper is currently half a second up on his best, so he's looking like he could improve to maybe around 6th or 7th at the moment. Depends how this goes down the last bit of straight. Not a lot to do here other than keep your foot absolutely planted.
I'm surprised Kuiper's having get up to 6th, but I'm surprised he didn't go closer to the pit wall and just straight line to the line, in essence. It does cost you a little bit of time, not a lot, but sometimes that can be the difference as Ricey Spicy goes into 11th. Scotty into the 1:39. That's a great lap.
Yeah, that was very quick. Very, very quick.
Blackside does improve his time. Oh, as Joe Hamster clips the inside of turn 19. That's not really what you're looking for.
Managed to keep going there, by the looks of it.
Doesn't improve, though. I think that
stays 10th.
Definitely cost you, because the problem is you don't just lose the time through the corner there. You lose it all down the straight where you've lost a couple of miles an hour.
And I think Eric's coming into the pits now. I think that might be everyone done.
I think it is. Yeah, obviously Eric went straight on at turn 1 on his lap, so no surprise there. But it is Scotty on pole position, which is the only man in the 39s. Question is, the race is a different ballgame.
Yeah, we saw yesterday. I think about 5 cars didn't even get to 2 and 1 before they were facing the wrong way. So yeah, it's all about getting a clean getaway here, really. And yeah, there's some good performances there. JC Battigal will be really happy with that. He's probably the standout performer after last week's results, really, for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you want to take us through the grid for round 2?
Yeah, so we've got Scotty on pole with JC Battigal in the Ferrari, sharing the front row with him. Keza and Owen on row 2. Ruddo in the McLaren and Kuipers in the Alpha Tauri 5 and 6. Ryan and Kent 7 and 8. Russman, Joe Hamster, Ginger Tiger, Ricey Spicy. Then SFR Martin, Eric Pancakes. Bear with me 2 seconds. This is for the game. Blackside in 15th, Simply 16th, and Sunboy and Ivan Beloff, who will be looking to make up time after they didn't get a lap in. It's a very tight grid throughout.
Yeah, I mean, Ivan and Sunboy definitely have good potential to driver of the day here if they can work their way through the grids.
Yeah, we know how fast Ivan is, especially, and I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with where he is. But it's a long race, and anything can happen around here. I think that the winner in Tier 3 yesterday at one point last, I think, after he got caught up at the start of the race. So it's one of those things you just never give up.
No, absolutely, and Daryl appreciating the sentiment for Whiffin's wall, which is always good to see.
We owe it to him, really.
We do, yeah.
It's all his.
Yeah. Obviously, whilst we are waiting to let everyone know about Grid Rival, which is obviously a fantasy F1 app and website. IRL, I believe, are setting up their league today. So make sure you download that and get involved with that. Make sure you check their Twitter for the link to the league and I believe an affiliate code as well. But obviously we got formation lap on, so it gives me and Bruce a chance to gain as much breath as we can before the start, because I think it's going to be very much action filled.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the discussion on tyres now, I guess really, if you know roughly when the rain's going to be coming, hards may be a better shout. And I mean, and that's relying on it being a race, which is fairly unlikely. All due respect to all the drivers in this league, accidents happen. We've just seen that in qualifying, so it may be worth the punt of going on hards if it's a later bit of rain. So you can gain a free pit stop almost.
Yeah, absolutely. But on the other hand, I mean, you could potentially try and, if you're expecting these safety cars, you could go down the mediums route and maybe look just to be quicker and gain track position before the rain hits. I mean, like I say, it all depends when this rain comes. And the other thing with this league is the forecasts you get are not perfect. They are set on approximate. So it's a case that it shows that it'll be raining, but that can vary in time and sometimes actually how hard it's going to rain as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, there's the option of going mediums and trying to drag them out, or if you think you can make up enough time on the mediums, I think probably a bit risky, to be honest, to go double medium and then stick on some wet tyres at the end. And like you say, it would be more risky on the basis that if the game doesn't deem it wet enough to be called a wet race, then you're a bit stuffed then. So, yeah, a lot for the driver to think about.
And there are your pit stop strategies on the screen. Suggesting a one-stop or a two-stop. Two-stop, I suspect, probably slightly slower. Suggesting a set of softs and 2 mediums. But looking at the grid's tyre choices, similar to last night, I think. Heavy favour of the mediums. However, we do have the odd hard runner. JC Battigal, probably the main person to have chosen hards, starting in second place.
Yeah, I think, if I remember rightly, last night, I think the first guy on hards was in about 5th or 6th. bit of a surprise, really. I mean, maybe he's planning to just keep going and going and going until the rain comes, or I don't know. Maybe he's hoping for no rain. I've just seen a Haas in the wall there, which is a bit random. It seems to have carried on. But yeah, a bit of a surprise. I think he's going to be vulnerable at the start of this race potentially. It's going to take obviously a few more laps to get those hards switched on. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, it makes sense for the guys towards the back to be on the hards, definitely.
Yeah, slightly
yeah,
different
it should be
strategy,
interesting.
just trying to gain what they can in track position, and especially if there's no safety car as well. But we shall see. But for anyone who has just joined, welcome to the IRL Season 16 Tier 2 League. This is the halfway house, the middle tier for this season, and as always, it's in partnership with gridfinder.com. The car's just coming through into the final sector now of the formation lap, where we are basically probably about a minute away from racing and the race start itself. And Ivan Belov has a little bit of a gap between him and the field, which is not going to be favourable to the likes of Scotty and especially JC Battigal, whilst their tyres start to cool down, being sat on the grid.
Yeah, he is rather a long way back. I think he's quite likely to catch up a little bit now. Well, no, he's a bit more weaving at the back. There you go. Keep them tyres nice and warm. But yeah, that's gamesmanship, isn't it? It's, he may not even be doing it deliberate for all we know, but yeah, part and parcel of F1 really. Got to get every tactical advantage you can sometimes.
Yeah, Daryl going for a safety car on lap 1. I mean, if anyone wants to have a top 3 prediction, now's your time, but I don't think I'd be comfortable trying to predict who's going to be top 3 in this race as the cars line up. Ryan doesn't quite get his parking correct, and he gets reset in the grid box. He's not disqualified from the race, just the formation lap itself. As Ivan also gets his parking wrong. But here we go then. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We have the 5 red lights. And we are racing at Azerbaijan for round 2. And I think Scotty's going to have the best getaway, but JC Battigal actually gets a better second phase. Scotty gets squeezed out, and JC Battigal leads this race on hard compound tyres. Keza up into 3rd place as Scotty breaks his front wing. Contact between him and Keza. That's not the ideal start from the pole sitter. But other than that, it looks like we've got away fairly cleanly. Bruce, you probably have a better view of the back end of the grid than me, but we still have side-by-side action. Scotty trying to keep his place as Kent and Ryan go side-by-side. I think Scotty's gone deep into turn 3. Ginger Tiger's retired.
Tiger's out, yeah. There's Scotty appears to have front end damage now, which is weird because he'd gone up the escape road. Oh no, he hadn't gone up the escape road, sorry. No, he had gone up the escape road. He has front wing damage. Ginger Tiger and I think Simply 90 were facing awkward directions there at turn 3, and Ginger Tiger's front left wheel has departed.
Yeah, well, Scotty picked up that damage in turn 2. He went into the back of Keza. But Owen managed to get past JC Battigal just in time. And we have a virtual safety car. It's not a full safety car. For those that may not know this, obviously, once it's a safety car of any type, we just get sector 1, 2 and 3 yellow flag. The way to tell is by the map whether there's a yellow dot. If you see a yellow dot, it's not an old Renault F1 car on the track. That is actually the safety car. But Owen, obviously we didn't see it on screen, but Owen somehow snuck into the lead. But that's a good start from JC Battigal there on the hards, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'd be pleased with that now. And now that the race is sort of not completely neutralised, but he's in that position now where he can keep the tyres warm, he can keep in close behind Owen, and he's got only a half a second gap to Keza. But
speaking of Keza, here comes again. Ryan. Big crash in the background. That's Ruddo. That was huge in the background. Just as Ryan gets past Keza, Ruddo has got into a tangle, and it looks like both Alfa Romeo, so potentially Joe Hamster and Ruddo coming together. No safety cars yet, just the yellow flag on the main straight as we continue to go racing.
Didn't quite see what happened. All I saw was the McLaren in the background with bits flying off of it, really. I don't actually see how it got initiated. Yeah, it's a shame for Ruddo, really. His pace was looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a bit like yourself, all I saw was a McLaren suddenly sideways and clattering the pit entry wall, I think it was. It was a very big hit. Luckily, no safety car out for that, which I'm a little bit surprised with, considering the size of that accident. But Kent is gradually working his way up to the back of Keza. And we should have DRS on the next lap because we've not had a full safety car, it was just the VSC.
Yeah, I think Ryan will be wanting to get past JC Batagol really here as quick as he can. Obviously teammates, so I'd be interested to see. Well, actually, Ryan, I suppose Ryan's at reserve, so
Ivan's out.
And Ivan Bellon's out, so I'm just going back to Joe Hamster to see what happened there.
He's gone off at a pretty common place, a virtual safety car once again, the second of the night. I think this is the off-camber 90-degree left-hander if we go on board with Joe Hamster. Probably, possibly, yeah, there he is.
Yeah, there he is.
Probably just locked up, and because obviously, whilst you can have ABS, as Owen makes the dive into the pits, this is probably not a bad shout, although he's going on to medium tyres.
He's also changing his front wing, so yeah, he's obviously picked up damage somewhere. And also, Martin is also in the pits, and he's not getting a front wing, he's just come in for some hards.
Scotty's now picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car as we go racing once again. JC Batagol in the lead on those hard tyres. Meanwhile, Kuiper's trying on the back of Ricey Spicy. Kent and Russman trying to chase down Keza. But no one really quite close enough yet to really sniff a move out.
Yeah, it's a big shame now. We started off really, really well. First two corners, everyone got through pretty cleanly. Obviously, Scotty lost a bit of his front wing. And then, yeah, it all just kicked off, unfortunately, didn't it?
Yeah, it's the carnage of Tier 3 has carried into Tier 2, I fear. So we're only on lap number 3. I think we've not had a full racing lap yet. Hopefully this might be kind of it. But yeah, everyone, I think after that start, everyone may be, as Blackside gets past Kuipers, I think Kuipers had a bit of a moment through turn 16, and that's allowed the Alfa Romeo past. We did have a brief yellow flag in Sector 3, but it's disappeared. Kuipers could be close enough here to regain that 7th place as JC Batagol. I'm wondering if he's not really thought that, because Ryan did have DRS and its teammates. Here comes Kuipers.
You'd expect Ryan now to maybe to start pulling away a little bit now, be a slightly faster tyre. Can JC Batagol now, or will he back up the rest of them a little bit? But he seems to be having a nice gap on Kaz at the moment.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if JC Batagol will probably want to stay in the DRS of Ryan as long as he can here, and see if those two can almost slingshot themselves away from the rest of the pack. Especially if JC Batagol can get that 1 second, keep that 1 second over Keza. That's going to really help him just to pull away, and potentially these Ferraris could get enough of a gap to start cementing their place at the top.
Yeah, I mean, JC Batagol seems to be keeping pace now with Ryan. Will he just blast back past him again on the pit straight in a minute? We've got a bit of a strange race here where there's quite a few gaps developing already. Eric Pancakes is 8 seconds behind the nearest car in front of him. And then, yeah, there's a few guys down towards the back there. There's just massive gaps at the moment where they've been caught up in various dramas.
So, as we head through, I'm just picking up words from as Keza's left. So Keza's disconnected. That's not good for him, because that means his air is going to drop positions here because the AI does tend to be set slower than the actual players. But I am getting word from Daryl Kravitz that apparently Joe was going into the pits and Ruddo ended up hitting the back of him because Joe had to brake to get in. So,
okay.
I mean, why? Meanwhile, Sunboy, side by side with Eric Pancakes, gets through on the inside. But Eric's going to get the detection point here. He's going to have DRS back up the second straight. The question is, can he get through?
Simply's going to be looking for a bit of this action as well, by the looks of it. I think he's a little bit too far behind now to make anything with the two guys in front fighting.
Bit of a spike there. I think Eric, actually looking at Eric Pancakes' car, he's got front wing damage. I don't think he's got a front right end plate. As Simply's gone round.
Simply's gone.
So
I think Simply had to slow down a bit there to avoid going into the back of Eric, and then I think as he's then applied the throttle, I think it's just gone round on him.
Yeah, Kent on the back of Ricey Spicy. Red Bull versus Alpine. And Kuiper's not too far behind this battle after getting past Blackside. So it's looking like probably the closest battle. Because I think the Ferraris are starting to work together here. JC Batagal, whilst he's still keeping in touch with Ryan, probably not going to pester him too much as Owen. Eric Pancakes has gone round at turn 16.
Causing people a bit of drama that turn 16 in this race. You didn't see too many dramas on it last night in Tier 3, but it's definitely definitely causing issues tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with turn 16 is obviously, as we said before, is slightly off-cambered, but also if you clip that inside curb, it either pings you into the wall, like probably what Ivan Belov potentially done, or just spins you around like Eric Pancakes has found out. Simply into the pits now, possibly for a wing change, as is Eric Pancakes. But looking at the rest of the field, though, Kent still just under half a second behind Ricey here. The question is, he just doesn't seem to have enough to get close to him in the DRS zone, although it looks like, obviously, Kezza's gradually dropping back as his ghost, as his Kezza bot, we'll call him at the moment, is driving round, which is going to help Russman here with some DRS down the main straight.
Yeah, there's definitely hard to know exactly how much ERS people are using in defence as well. Yeah, JC Bats just dropped about half a second off the back of Ryan to where he was. Not sure whether he just had a slight moment somewhere. But yeah, there's a bit of a train starting to form here behind Kezabot. Obviously the AI must be set slightly higher than normal because it can't quite catch him. He's a bit of a slippery bot. And as Ricey's out,
I was going to say, there's that exit of turn 19 as well, and this has brought out the full safety car. Yeah, he's gone round after 19.
Gone quite a long way down the road, so I wonder whether or not he's clipped the wall and it's just spat him out to the other side, possibly.
Yeah, whether he clipped the inside, hasn't he, and just been sent.
Big shame that, but...
So here we go, seven laps in, 2 virtual safety cars, and now the full safety car.
I mean, now if you're the likes of Joe Hamster, who's on mediums currently, you come in and put the hards on. He is coming in there.
Owen's made a very interesting decision.
Okay, are we expected rain soon then? In that case, we must be.
I mean, it's either that or he's going to look a little bit like Pierre Gasly and Alpha Tauri at Germany, Hockenheimring, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we've definitely got flicks on the Hamster's car, I believe. We've got hards on Joe Hamster's car.
Martin's gone back out on some slightly used mediums. Obviously, I think Joe may have heard you talking about his strategy because he's gone for exactly what you suggested.
I mean, if he's seen me race before, he wouldn't listen to a single word I said. But yeah, but I think it's a sensible choice at this stage of the race, especially if you've not run that compound already. 7 laps in, the hard should do 19 laps quite comfortably.
I'm still wondering what was going on down at the Alpine camp, because I can't see a cloud really in the sky that's threatening any sort of rain.
No, there's definitely no umbrellas out in the crowd at the moment, are there?
No, I wonder if Daryl Kravitz in our chat can give us any more information.
So Ryan's in Kezabot.
Ryan's got a 5-second penalty. Speeding in the pit lane. And the Ferrari's double stacking. This is going to cost JC Battigal. He's going to go on to the mediums, I will expect. And Keza, miraculously, has managed to rejoin when his Keza bots got the lead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's probably come back in, wondering how on earth that's happened. But if he probably want to come in now, he's done 7 laps, or at least his bot has done 7 laps on those tyres. So it'd be a good time to change again, I think. I'd be Owen's gone for a very interesting move here, so.
Owen's come back in the pits, so it's definitely not wet enough for intermediates right now. I think we've got our answer, but Daryl did ask what was he finding out. I was going to ask you, Daryl, is it actually raining down in the pit lane? But I think Owen has answered our question for us.
Yeah, it's a shame that for Owen. He was up near the front, and now he's down near the back. But that's, like I say, still a long way to go.
Very much. I think we've only had about, well, probably the best part of maybe 3 or 4 laps of actual racing here so far tonight in Tier 2. And this full safety car, I mean, Kez is still not quite in control of his car yet. So hopefully he can get back in before the restarts. But
now would be a good time to get control of the car, because I fear if he goes past here now, he potentially is going to be a pit stop behind everyone.
He's actually lost connection again, which is unfortunate. But for restart, I mean, we've got at least another lap, maybe 2 laps of safety car here, because if you look how spread the field is, it's going to take them a while to actually catch this safety car.
Yeah, we're looking at Eric Pancakes now, only just coming up to turn 16, so yeah, I mean, I suspect by the time they get to the castle section, they'll be relatively on the back of the train. So potential for it to restart at the end of this lap, but yeah, it's hard to know really.
I mean, the biggest thing here is hopefully that the safety car doesn't start with Eric and Owen not on the back of the pack, because that's their worst. That's the worst thing that can happen to them here, is not being on the back of the pack. As Martin in the pits, and I got a feeling this wasn't Martin's decision. I think this was Martin's bot decision.
Well, it did just pop up that he just joined, so I wonder whether or not he'd lost connection a little bit, and yeah, it's dumped him with the soft, which is great. You might be able to set a fastest lap of the race, but it's not really what you want in the overall scheme of things.
I mean, unless the rain's going to come in the next 5 to 6 laps, because that's all those softs are good for. And possibly you might stretch them to 7. But unless the rain's going to come that quickly, that's not really worked out for Martin there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as it stands, the more safety cars and VSCs we have here, the more chance there is of the rain coming in earlier in the race. So yeah, it could be again, without knowing exactly when this rain's going to fall, could be a great decision. But I suspect you're right. It's probably been enforced on him a bit, that one.
I'm just going through. So if the safety car is going to be in, this is when it will trigger it, just here. And the answer is no. We're going to have one more lap of safety car here.
Well, that's good news for Eric Pancakes and Owen, because they are still quite a way behind the train. They would not quite have caught it, I don't think. So that's worked out well for those guys.
It's also good news for Keza. It gives him another lap to try and reconnect to his car. Whilst his car's going out in the lead. Let's just hope that his car doesn't make the same decision that Martin's did. Doesn't look like it is. That's good news for Keza if he can get back in.
I'm assuming Keza is currently trying to wind up his generator now, trying to get his net going again. Fingers crossed that works out well.
Yeah, so problem with safety cars, you do run out of things to talk about, and for some bizarre reason, I don't know if it's gone for you as well, Bruce, but mine's kind of gone into broadcast mode for no apparent reason.
We are in broadcast mode as well. I am definitely in broadcast mode.
Which is a bit strange because this is not part of not part of the reg sets. Also means, oh, here we go. So we're on to lap 10. I do wonder if there's a time limit sometimes on these safety cars.
Yeah, that was a bit very strange.
Although we're going back round again, even though everyone is currently in formation.
Yeah, I mean, this is not good news for Keza, because obviously this narrows down his time window for getting back into his car. Yeah, everyone's in a nice little line, so fingers crossed this will. Well, it's going to fast forward.
Yeah, obviously we do have people with penalties at the moment. This is bizarre because I think we're in broadcast mode,
but I don't think they are.
But I don't think they are because Eric Pancakes has just got a 5-second penalty. I think Owen's recently got a 5-second penalty. Eric Pancakes has lost communications.
Yeah, this is all a bit strange, this.
Not really what the Tier 2 drivers are looking for. I mean, Bert Mylander is getting some good coverage, I won't lie, from our broadcast camera. In that Aston Martin safety car. Which, don't get me wrong, it does look nice. But, yeah. Bert Mylander kind of stealing the Tier 2 show.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, like you say, the 5-second penalties just popped up then for Owen and Eric, and obviously if they're seeing what we're seeing, then that's something that I'm sure the stewards would look at after the race.
Yeah, and I believe this is similar for Russman as well. I think in my opinion, the only legitimate 5-second penalty here is Ryan because he sped in the pit lane. As we look back from Bert Mylander's car. Martin has rejoined. Kez is still not in control of that Haas.
And we're still going round. I think we're going round again.
I have a feeling something has broke very badly right now. Turns out everyone's in broadcast mode right now. As confirmed by Daryl Kravitz and Scotty. It's amazing the things Daryl gets involved with, really, isn't it? He's got Whiffins Wall, now he's Daryl Kravitz, our pit lane correspondent.
He likes to get involved in many ways, and it's more than welcome.
I'm just going to have a look at the Discord in a minute to see what's going on. Oh, we've skipped again. Oh, safety car is finally ending. Well, I think we've just had about 5 laps of it.
Yeah, that was a very long period under safety car, that. But that's okay. We're managing to get going now. So. Kent is currently stuck behind Eric Pancake's car, even though Eric Pancakes is supposedly
behind him.
Behind him.
I mean, it's quite good. I mean, Eric Pancakes has a negative interval on my screen, which is quite good as we go racing again. Although I am hearing that potentially this race will be red flagged due to these issues, as Kent's gone into the back of Joe Hamster, spinning around, and there's carnage after turn 2.
Crash. I think Owen is minus a front wing, as is SFR Martin, unfortunately.
Kent's got half a front wing at the moment. He's lost an end plate at least. Blackside and Kuipers were battling out along with Simply trying to get past for 7th place. What we'll do for now, until we get further information, we'll carry on like we are still racing to the end. I believe we're not, though, because I think that's Kent has left the session. Up into the castle section, we'll try and update you as and when we get some information. But what's going on? Russman not too far behind Sunboy right now, but he does have JC Battigal for company on a softer compound of tyre, as I think that Scotty has gone into the wall.
Looking back now, and it doesn't appear to be any damage.
We've got a Williams, a Sunboy round at turn 16, turn 17. But very
JC Battigal is currently side by side with Russman.
That is required there. But I do have this high suspicion that this is almost like becoming a practice laps for him, because I know there's high discussion of potentially the red flag in this race. Obviously 14 drivers in, probably only 12 actually racing, 12 11. But Ryan currently leading on the hard tyres. Russman just behind Battigal. Kuipers looking to close the gap on the Mercedes, along with Blackside and Simply. Then we have a 7.8 second gap back to the Aston Martins, and then another 6 seconds to Keza, who, as we know, isn't actually in. Is he actually in? He is back in the car.
Well, Scotty has gone round at turn, I believe that is turn 4, and he's lost his front wing, unfortunately.
Meanwhile, Martin, I don't think Martin's driving his. Is Martin back in his car? Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes, because the car's not ghosted. That's normally the tallying point. If the car's ghosted, the driver's not in the car. Meanwhile, though, Kuiper's still on the back of Russman. I think it's not this lap that DRS gets activated. It is the next lap. So if Kuiper's can stay within this half a second of Russman, he's going to have a good chance up towards turn 3.
Yeah, I think he's got half a chance here, but I think he's probably more sensible to wait until the run up to turn 3. Otherwise, he'd just be vulnerable then to getting him back. So yeah, now is just time to be a little bit patient for the first 2 corners and see what you can do here now.
The DRS is on. Yes, it is. So can we close in enough with Kuipers? I think the answer is going to be no. Just can't quite get enough. And I think drivers are going to be slightly hesitant here to use their ERS, especially this early on.
It looked like Kuipers was thinking about it. You could see he was sort of just slightly edging out from behind Russman, but I think made the right decision now to just play it steady and take his time.
I mean, the only other option Kuipers has is to overtake Russman on the main straight using the DRS, but use a bit of ERS just to make sure he doesn't get enough of a run up to turn 3, and then try to lose Russman through this second sector. But all the while, Blackside and Simply are gradually closing the gap to these two.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it here, I don't know if Blackside's quite close enough to maybe get both of them. I know if you're close enough, then you can get past two cars down that straight. But it's looking like more than anything, I think Simply could be having a look at Blackside as well as Kuiper's having a look at Russman here.
Yeah, I mean, it very much depends. I mean, if Blackside was probably another 3/10 closer, you'd get a lovely double slipstream to go on. But here comes Kuipers. Gaining, and not quite gaining.
You feel like this is only a matter of time, really. For now, it's difficult for Russman here. Obviously, he has no one to help him with DRS in front. So down a straight, there's not a lot you can do about it, really.
Absolutely, and it's just
flag.
That's
Keza. That's Keza, interestingly. Okay, I think Keza is back in control of his car, but he's just spun it down at 2 and 1.
Yeah.
This bunch of cars here really is starting to squeeze up together here.
Oh, that's that Blackside. I thought I saw the Alpha. Oh dear.
And Simply's gone, and they've both crashed out. Unbelievable. I think Simply looked like I don't know whether he received a tap at the back. I didn't quite see. I'm not saying he did, but yeah, he definitely went round after the corner. I'm not sure if he was shoved, but yeah.
Yeah, so once again, full course safety car. Some full course yellow if you're from across the pond in America, is probably what they normally refer it to. There's still some debris at turn 16, so I wonder if one of the Ferraris have had a bit of an accident up there, although it looked too red to be a Ferrari. Oh no, it is. It's Ryan.
Ryan's coming in.
Ryan's not got a front. Ryan's not got a right end plate. But this would also... Oh, this is not going to be good for Batico as some boy gets a drive through for speeding into the safety car.
Well, Russman in third has no front wing either, so he's going to have to do a wing change as well. So JC Batico might still not come out too bad out of this. Joe Hamster now leads.
Must be, the clouds are starting to build, I think. They are gradually getting more and more clouds. Whether they're actually going to threaten and bring the rain is another question. But Joe Hamster, so I mean, he's probably not in the best position anymore, because whilst he is on hards and there is very little time left, obviously the likes of Ryan Kuiper, JC Pascal, they're all on the mediums, and they're definitely going to be lasting to the end. I mean, they're going to be doing what, probably 7 or 8 laps now on those tyres, which those mediums definitely can do.
Yes, they'll definitely make it. Really, I can't remember exactly where Joe was. I think he's probably still made the right decision. But yeah, he's going to be under attack quite a lot now, I think, from the guys behind. But you never know. Track position's everything, especially around the street circuit.
Yeah, I mean, and as we've seen, it's seemingly not as easy to overtake on the straights in this Tier 2 race than we first thought. And we do tend to have this thing where Joe Hamster tends to run slightly lower wings than most people. I mean, remember Mexico last season, his car was an absolute rocket in a straight line.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that chance that he could have a very quick car in a straight line. Not really had the chance to see it tonight, I don't think. So yeah, now he's going to be the chance once we get going again.
So everyone now trying to bunch back up behind the safety car. Allegedly 12 drivers left, but I think Kent and Owen both not in the session. So I think we're down to 10.
I think we may even be down to 8, because I believe SFR Martin and Eric Pancakes are both not in this lobby either at the moment.
I think you are correct.
I think we are down to 8 fully functioning vehicles. it could be interesting to see how it goes. You got Keza there in 7th, and Sunboy in 9th. Obviously, Sunboy is very unfortunate. He's got that drive through. That's pretty much done his race unless we get another safety car now. Keza's come into pits. So it'd be interesting what he does, because he's gone for softs. I wonder if he's just going in to bolt another set of softs on, perhaps. Which he has.
So we're just getting some words from the coordinators of IRL, and the decision is this race result will be null and void. We will be having a rerun of Azerbaijan. However, the drivers are free to race to the end. So if the drivers decide to race on, I think we'll continue to commentate, because it'll still be a good race to watch. But yeah, the decision is this race will be rerun. The result will be null and void for tonight due to a few wrong settings and obviously some technical issues, we'll say.
Well, I'm sure there's a few drivers that might be happy with that decision. Namely, probably Ginger Tiger, Ruddo, Ivan Veloff, Ricey, Blackside, and Simply are probably quite delighted with that decision. But it gives them a second bite of the apple. Yeah, it's still been an interesting race though. To be fair, let's see how this one ends, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean means you get another race of us commentating as well, which never a bad thing in my opinion.
I can only apologise for that. But, it's been a good race, and yeah, just shame about the technical glitches, really, to be honest. But
as we go back into
go again, that's my favourite thing.
Into the Burnt Mylander spotlight camera mode, in my opinion, because that's pretty much all you're going to see. Smoke, welcome.
Should we run a sweepstake as to what lap it lets them all loose on?
Take your pick. Which lap is broadcast mode going to give us some racing back? Keza has decided to retire. Obviously, if you have just joined, this is the IRL Tier 2. This result null and void for tonight due to technical issues and some incorrect settings. Yeah, we've had quite a lot of issues, unfortunately, which is very unusual for IRL. Not the norm for sure. But yeah, this Azerbaijan Grand Prix will be rerun again, probably in the break week, middle of the season, and I think we're going to see a few drivers deciding to not finish this race. But me and Bruce will stay on right until the end, until the last person either decides to retire or finish the race. I mean, the question is, do you rerun this in terms of? Surely you must have the grid set the same as tonight. I mean, I guess that's the biggest question for most of the drivers is there's going to be a rerun, but is the grid going to be taken from this qualifying, or is it going to be a complete fresh qualifying session as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's probably a few ways of resolving it. I guess the best way is to do a complete rerun, probably including qualifying. Although, obviously, you can set the grid manually. It's a shame, really. A good way of doing it tonight would have potentially have been exiting this race, going to a 25% race, but only if everyone started on the same tyres they were on, and you'd have to have no pit stops enabled in that, which you can't do, I believe, in this. So, yeah, just a complete rerun is without doubt the best option, I think.
I mean, it's always a hard decision, really, for the coordinators, because obviously they want to get the racing on. They want every round to count, and obviously not an easy sort of situation for them to be in at all. So you can have some drivers going, it's technicalities are like car faults. It's like your engine blowing up. But others that have been affected obviously will want the rerun. So. Not an easy decision, and probably one they don't take lightly at all.
And I mean, I guess, assuming all the drivers are seeing what we're seeing, randomly JC Batigall's car has just entered the pits, I'm not sure he's chosen to do that. I think the game just decided that his car should be doing that, and yeah,
He's
that's
not
obviously where you
actually in the
can.
session anyway, so I
As
think
he's
that's
not, now
why.
he's left. But obviously, that would be a reason you couldn't continue the race if
We're
something
going to
like
go
that
green
was to
though.
happen. So here we go.
So safety car in this lap. I'm just trying to work out how many cars we've got left in this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the back 4 are all not in the session. Kent's not in the session, so I think we've got 6 drivers that are actually driving.
Yeah, there's almost as many ghost cars as there are actual cars, but it's always good to have a little bit of a practice, I suppose. It doesn't do any harm.
And the other thing is to learn the racecraft of those around you as well. Obviously, some of these new drivers, as we get underway, and side by side, immediately between Russman and Kuipers. Kuipers not quite able to get the better of the Mercedes on this occasion. But yeah, always good to learn about the racecraft of those around you, because obviously new tier, new drivers to learn, as Joe Hamster, Ryan side by side. Ryan down the inside with the medium tyres. I think that was an inevitable move to be made.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was going to be very hard for Joe to keep hold of that, especially 14 lap old hard tyres. I think he'd probably now, with Russman and Kuipers behind him on mediums, on freshish mediums as well, he'd be looking at maybe 4th would be a good result here in this race currently. Yeah, I think, like you say, that was an inevitable move, Ryan. And I think that might be the last Joe Hamster sees of him, to be honest.
Yeah, unless he sees him in a war, unfortunately, which we don't want, but there's a possibility following the events of this race. But Joe Hamster looking to probably now trying to defend from Russman, maybe trying to keep a podium here. If he can do that, it'll be a very good effort from Joe Hamster.
I'm just saying that, as we said, that's the last of the season. Ryan went very, very deep then into turn 16 and had to slow down quite a lot to avoid hitting the wall. He's still going.
Down the main straight, obviously no DRS yet because of the safety car. You don't get that till after 2 racing laps. And Russman, I think, is using a bit of ERS here, looking to make the move and maybe looking to try and close that gap to Ryan down the inside. Easy does it, and Kuipers was very close to the back of Joe there.
Yeah, I suspect. Kuipers, if he can burn the ERS up the straight here, he should get past Joe. But Joe could well be doing the same. It looks like he is.
Yeah, I mean, you have to feel coming out of corners, Joe is basically a sitting duck. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. You feel really for Joe. Obviously, you got Scotty, his teammate, behind. He's also on hards, but he's only got 7 laps on those hards. So, and I think the other person we need to look out for here is Sunboy, because I think he does have a penalty though, but he is on soft compound tyres. Although 5 lap old softs.
Penalty, yeah.
So, okay, so drive-through will ruin Sunboy's end of this race, but we'll keep going on with Kuipers and Joe, because Kuipers all over the back of the Aston Martin, but just can't find that gap.
Yeah, Joe's doing a fantastic job here of defending in far inferior tyres to Kuipers. Again, though, it's a case now really for Kuipers. Obviously, he'll want to get as far up as he can, but Russman's made a bit of a break for it now. So really, for Kuipers, this is a case of sticking to the back of Joe, and if you can't get him on this lap, he'll definitely get him on the next one with DRS. But here he goes. He's going now.
Yeah, job done. Although Joe's not giving this one up at all, is he? He's really fighting for this. He's looking to the outside. Can he get a switch back? I don't think he can, not with the grip of those tyres, and you feel it would be almost silly. I mean, although I say that with the result being null and void, it doesn't really matter about team tactics anymore, because the positions don't really matter to this point. It's just about clean racing.
Exactly. Yeah, like you say, this is just a bit of practice. It doesn't hurt to practice some team orders occasionally, does it? I suppose. But yeah, it's like I say, just a good chance for these guys, especially this early in the season, to race against each other, especially if they, with the PC guys haven't raced with the PS PlayStation drivers before. So it's a good chance for them to sort of get to know their driving styles and feel comfortable racing against each other. There's no point in being over aggressive now, despite the race being void.
Absolutely. Scotty was a little bit twitchy coming out of turn 4 there, as he looks to try and take fourth away from his teammate. The top three have made a break for it and are definitely gapped between each other. This is the last real battle, because obviously Sunboy with that drive through, he's miles behind, and everyone between him and Scotty are all bottom mode, as we'll call it.
Yeah, we are just like as you say, looking at the top 5 here. I think Scotty will a bit of a wobble there from Scotty. I think he may have just had a little panic on there, but he's still got the momentum here to get Joe. And down to the right hand side, and he should get
Joe's in the pits
there before braking, and Joe's in the pit. So yeah.
So this makes me wonder, what's Joe going to go on to? Is he going to just go on to softs and just see, maybe do 2 laps of practice with them to see maybe what the wear is for the rerun? I think yes, he is. So Joe Hamster deciding, let's chuck on some softs and just see what happens, because at the end of the day, why not?
Well, rather interestingly, he's come out. He's come out 5 seconds now, but looks at behind Sunboy, but his soft tyres are 7 laps younger, so he may catch Sunboy here by the end. They'll give him someone to race.
Yeah, it'd be a good effort. But we have Ryan in the lead from Russman, Kuipers in third, Scotty in fourth. The question is, can Kuipers get on the back of Russman? I think he is slowly catching him, so we may still yet have a battle for second come the end of this race.
Yeah, Scotty was starting to take time out of Kuipers there a little bit as well, but he's just dropped back about. I think he got to within a second, and now he's just dropped about 7 or 8 tenths. So obviously maybe a slight overshoot or something, like wobble out of a corner.
Yeah. The problem is he is on those hard tyres, which obviously don't have a lot of grip, especially in comparison to the medium. Also, probably only just about starting to come into temperature to have some good grip. And Kuiper's 1.4 behind. The question is, I think Russman is out of ERS here. The backlight is flashing as Scotty now comes in, probably for a set of softs for a bit of a go. So Aston Martin looking for the fabled fastest lap points, that the ghost fastest lap point, I think we'll say, because they're not actually going to get it. But what's more interesting is that I think Scotty's going to come out ahead of Joe Hamster here, isn't he?
It's going to be very, very close. Once Scotty, because he can have a few corners to get those tyres up to temp. I think he'll have enough. He'll have enough on him now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, these tyres should get up to temperature possibly just after the castle section. So as long as he treats them nicely through here. But it does make you wonder if Joe Hamster maybe had a bit of a mistake on his outlap, because obviously he wasn't over a second behind Scotty going when he went into the pits. He was right on his tail, but
yeah,
it'll be interesting what
again there, just a little bit deep there out of that corner, and it's just cost him a few more tenths again. So yeah, I don't know whether maybe he has a little bit of damage. I couldn't quite see, but yeah, dropping a few tenths here and there.
Meanwhile, Kuipers 1.2. He was 1.4 last time around, and so is this now Russman's lack of ERS starting to come into play? But Kuipers is only going to have one more lap to do this here. He needs to be in DRS now to even stand a chance, in my opinion. As that's interesting. Joe Hamster's been given a 5-second penalty for corner cutting.
He's definitely taken a bit of time out of Scotty there unexpectedly.
He's looking for that DRS stuff for absolute.
I mean, Kuiper's now, if he can get to within, as you say, with Russell's car harvesting, it's not looking good for him down the straight. So if Kuipers can get here within 6 tenths, maybe, I think he could get Russell by the time they get to the line. But it's going to be very close.
I think I just saw a flash from Kuiper's car, though.
Okay.
Well, no, he's managed to harvest a little bit more through that braking zone. But this is definitely going to be close. Only half a second. And the other thing is, well, you'd like to think no one's going to run out of fuel. And we hate to bring back flashbacks, but do a Darryl on the fuel.
We've had about 16 laps of safety cars, so I should imagine they're probably all okay.
Well, you'd like to think they've still got half a tank in the car, wouldn't you? It's
yeah.
There we go. Into turn 15, down to 16.
It's going to be quite a tasty finish here for second, I think.
So Joe Hamster, I think Joe Hamster's gone into Whiffin's wall. Through onto the main straight. Ryan is going to win this null and void race, but Russman under pressure here, both of them out of ERS. Who's going to take second place here? It's definitely going to be Kuipers with the DRS. Kuipers clinches second place from Russman.
Fantastic finish there.
That's a very good finish, really nice and tight, less than 2 tenths. Kent Bott comes in fourth with Martin Bott fifth. JC Batagol Bott in sixth, Owen Bott seventh. Martin Bott actually down to 8th due to some penalties, I guess. Some boy, I think that was 8th or 9th. 9th for some boy, 10th for Scotty, and Joe Hamster visiting Whiffin's wall, I do believe. And Eric Pancakes gets driver of the day.
Yes, remarkably there, just proving that why this race has been deemed null and void. The results just showed Eric Pancakes as winning the race. But yeah, so there you go.
That's as an amazing comeback from the Red Bull driver, I think. Apparently, Darryl saying he's had more airtime tonight than last night, and I think Whiffin is definitely going to be catching on because Joe saying he accidentally visited it. And we'll speak to some drivers about tonight. Obviously, they're going to be a bit disappointing because no points on offer. But yeah, unfortunately, we won't be able to speak to Ryan, but Russman and potentially Kuipers. I'll just put a message in for Kuipers. Russman has joined us. How are you tonight, mate?
I just heard you say no points on offer.
Correct. I don't know if you've seen the message, but the race was null and voided.
Oh, great.
Due to the issues.
Oh, that's news to me. That is disappointing.
Have a discussion shortly. I'll just ask Kuipers if he wants to join anyway. But yeah, so apparently Eric Pancake storms through the field, even though he wasn't in the car, to take the win. So Russman, obviously coming to you, obviously news to you. Obviously, I guess obviously if you don't look at Discord during safety car, obviously you're trying to focus yourself on other things. Obviously you weren't aware of that, but other than that disappointing note for you, I mean, how did you feel this race was going up to during the night?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad a race for me. Going into Baku, your main priority is just keeping it out the barriers. I wasn't completely error-free. There was a few mistakes in there. I clipped the wall early on and driving the first stint with wing damage. And then when I boxed under the safety car, I came back out and my wing was still damaged. So it wasn't until the second safety car or whenever it was that I got a chance to box again and fix that. And yeah, I mean, in general, it was okay. It wasn't too bad a race. I managed to steer clear of all the trouble. Slightly annoying when we went into broadcast mode, I picked up a 5-second pen and then I served that in the pits, and I think that cost me a few positions. But I mean, when all is said and done, I was running P2 with a handful of laps to go, and Yeah, I blew it really with Kuipers. He pipped me right at the end, but yeah, I was happy with P3 at the end. To be fair, yeah, just gutted there's no points on offer because you can guarantee if the race is rerun, I probably won't be on the podium.
No, obviously, I believe it is due to be round, but obviously we'll speak about you and Kuipers because that was a nice little battle at the end between you two, and it looked like you ran out of ERS slightly earlier than him. Do you feel that was possibly the reason he got you because obviously you didn't have that sort of defence ability?
Yeah, probably. I was trying to sort of drain it on the penultimate lap to keep him out my DRS. But yeah, in hindsight, I'm never great with ERS management. To be fair, Smoke will tell you that. I'm sure he's somewhere laughing at me, but yeah, in hindsight, that's where I lost out with Kuipers there. Just didn't have enough coming down the straight at the end to fend him off. But
Yeah,
overall, happy enough.
that's good. Bruce, any questions for Russman whilst he's here?
Yeah, obviously, despite tonight being null and void, obviously it's disappointing for you with such a good result. Do you feel now, knowing that you could have got that result tonight, when you get the rerun later on this season, do you feel that will give you extra confidence now going into that rerun?
Hopefully, hopefully. I mean, it's still early doors in terms of the season. Still that sort of stage of the season where you're sort of trying to figure out where you are in relation to everyone else. I haven't really been putting the practice in so far this year. If I'm being honest, I just lost a little bit of motivation for it. The the first bit of practice I did for this race was half an hour before the race began. So to finish on the podium, I was quite happy with that. And yeah, of course, I'll be able to take a bit of confidence from that. That maybe I will be competitive this year, and I'll have a chance going forward to get a few more podiums. But it's hard to say. Um, yeah, just going to this week, I'll have a bit of confidence behind me, and we'll see where we go.
Absolutely. Well, even though it's none of you, congratulations for tonight for making it to the end, at the very least, and taking third of the remaining drivers. But we must move on because tomorrow night we have Tier 1. Myself and Webbo will be commentating on that one. Same time, 8 o'clock, same place. And on Thursday we have the RP League with Malc and Tim. Again, same time, same place. All from Azerbaijan. So make sure you're joining us for those races. And next week is obviously round 3 for most tiers. Obviously, in essence, it'll be round 2 for tier 2 drivers. We will be heading to, if I get my stuff up quick enough, we'll be going to Hungary. So nice, tight, twisty circuit. Should produce some good action. Daryl saying to you, Bruce, it was a great debut for you on comms, which it was. It was a great stuff from yourself on your first comms race.
Thanks. I gave it a good go anyway.
But other than that, thank you all for joining us tonight. Hopefully you'll join us next week for more Tier 2 action. But thank you to Bruce for joining me alongside. This has been the IRL Tier 2 in partnership with gridfine.com. But thank you all for watching. Good night.